If you're an HVAC technician or a salesperson, what does your tool bag say about you? And does it really matter? This is an important question. I'm Scott Sylvan coming to you live for HVAC technician sales secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you. Now, here's the thing. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of technicians. I've had the opportunity to ride with a lot of technicians. And there's an area of their life that I see lacking that would really help out. And that is the tool bag, okay? So let's say that you are sick and you got to go to the doctor. And so you go to the doctor and the doctor walks up and you're laying on the bed. You got the cheek chiller gown on. And the doctor walks up and he's got this crusty old bag. And he starts pulling out medical devices. And you're like, whoa, I don't know if I necessarily want that thing to touch my body. And you start questioning, is this guy good? Is this guy bad? You know, maybe didn't wash his hands before he walked in to give you the treatment and touch you and do all the things they needed to do. You may have questions. Now, your consumer may not take what you do as seriously as visiting a doctor, but they are in the back of their mind judging you. We're all judgmental people, whether you want to believe it or not. They're judging you. They're looking. They're like, that nasty tool bag, I don't want on my floor. That nasty tool bag, if that's how he treats his tools, how does he treat my equipment? Then you start getting questions. So I made a list here for you about 9 different things for you to know of what you should do with your tools and why it's important. So buyers, they're all looking for a reason to tell us no. Like right now, you're watching this video going, what's a reason that I can reject Scott? What's a reason why I don't have to listen to him? I don't like that he's wearing an Aloha shirt with a jacket. I don't like that he's bald. I don't like that he's tall. I don't like there's a green screen behind him, right? You're right now looking for reasons to eject, and you might do that. Well, okay, that's what you got to do, but you're going to miss out on some goods. Well, this is why you should keep your tool bag clean. So once a week, I would take my tool bag and I would just flip it upside down and I'd make sure it was all arranged. I'd make sure there was no extra parts or pieces in there, nothing weird. It was just my tools. And it also gave me the ability to do a tool count to make sure that I didn't lose anything. Because, you know, you're up in an attic, you're out of the system, you might lose a nut driver, you might lose a screwdriver, you might lose, and it gave me the opportunity to go through my pack to make sure that I had all the connections that I needed and all the things. And one of the compliments that people would give me a lot, they're like, man, you really do keep your tool bag nice. I'm like, hey, this is what I work from. If it's like my laptop that I have sitting right here, I keep that clean too. So you keep your tool bag clean. Get a new bag yearly. Get a new bag yearly. I rode with a technician that took pride that he had a 20-year-old tool bag, and it looked like a 20-year-old tool bag. It looked like a 40-year-old tool bag. And this guy was really good at what he did, but like every time that we would go somewhere and he would grab his tool bag, the homeowner would kind of go, and they would give him a look. And it was just that one look that would give him one tick for finding one reason to not do business with him. So tool bags, I don't know, $60, $100, but it's for the appearance. It's for like, this person seems like they have everything all together. If they have everything all together walking to the door, chances are good when they go through my system and they take a look at my equipment that they're going to have a better representation of what's going on. You could be a fantastic tech. You could have a 20-year-old tool bag. You could be amazing at what you do, but you could be causing yourself some problem. Number 5, you should keep a towel in your tool bag, like a little towel. So one of the things that I learned how to do is anytime that I was working on equipment, I would take like a hand towel and I would line up my tools near perfect on this towel on top of the furnace if I was in an attic, or out at the condenser, or on a package unit if I was on a package unit. Because inevitably, homeowner's gonna come up and have a conversation with you. And I wanted them to see that I was organized. I wanted them to see that I had a nice tool bag. I wanted them to see that I was organized. And the reason I had that towel there was multifold. I wanted them to see that that organization was there. And if every time I touched a tool and I put it back on top of that towel, I knew where all my tools were and I didn't have to go searching for them, right? I always knew where to look. Oh, nut drivers right here. Oh, ratchets right here. Oh, box end wrench over here. Oh, I knew where to look for it. If I don't need it, don't put it in your bag, okay? When I first got started as a technician, I had a 50-pound tool bag. This thing was a monster. I had nut drivers, socket sets. It was like I could have fixed a car. In all realities, I cut it down to about 12 pounds, which was still a lot. And the reason I say this is, especially if you're in an area where you got to get up in an attic, especially if you're in an area where you got to climb a ladder, a 50-pound bag gets old and your company may have OSHA rules against it. So, you could always put it in the car. You could always leave it in your service van. You can always leave it in your transit. So when you go through your tool bag, one of the things that helps is to always put fresh light batteries in your flashlight every month. Even if they're not dead, fresh batteries. Because there's nothing worse than getting into a situation and being like, got bad batteries. Now the same is true for your meters. So there was a time, I want to say like 2008, 2009, every house that I went to, every freaking house that I went to had a bad capacitor. And at the time my uncle was alive, my Uncle Mark, he looked at me and goes, Scott, the odds against that, there's something wrong. Go grab your meter. So we're at the office, I grab my meter, and we go into the shop and we grab a brand new capacitor, and we hook this thing up, and my meter says it's bad. He hooks up his meter and it says it's good. So we grab another technician, he hooks up his meter and says it's good. We grab another technician, he hooks up his meter and says it's good. My battery was low on my meter. And I didn't know that it was giving me a bad charge. And SC76 fill piece. So one of the things about that is just change your batteries frequently. And so like you may have a homeowner come to you and say, how can you trust your readings for your diagnostic tools? Because it's going to happen at some point. And you say, absolutely. I change my battery every month. And so what I did from that point on was I took a permanent marker and I wrote the date on the battery inside my meter. And there was a time where an engineer came to me and he said, Scott, I don't know if I necessarily trust your readings. And I said, why? He says, I think your tool is off, your diagnostic tool is off. And I go, okay. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to take the cover off my meter. I'll show you that I changed my battery and it's a fresh battery. He's like, well, how do I know? I said, because I put the date on it. So then he says, well, how do I know that that meter is right? And I said, I've got a spare one in my van. So I've got one here and one in my van. I test your capacitor before I pull it out of the van, and then I test your capacitor before I put it in. He said, no way. No freaking way. And I said, yeah, let's go to my van. So sure enough, I had an SC76 that I worked off of out in the field, and in the van I kept an SC77. 2 different meters. I would get the same result though. When possible, buy the better tools, they last longer. Like I rode with a technician, the guy had been doing it for like 20 years. He had the cheapest tools possible, and he was always complaining that there weren't magnetic tips on his nut drivers. I was like, dude, a client set's gonna cost you 25, you paid 17 for these, you've complained to me for 20 minutes, it's worth $7 just to buy the better stuff. And last of all, take your tools in nightly. I know that this sounds weird, but your service vehicle is going to get targeted. And there's gonna be a point where somebody goes and cracks a lock, they're gonna go break a window, they're gonna get in your vehicle, and they might find some capacitors, some refrigerant, but what they won't find is your tool bag so you can work the next day and you could get some things done. That is what you should keep in your tool bag. I promise it'll help you out. Keep the connectors, go through it weekly, check your tools, make sure you got them, and have a clean tool bag. There you go. We'll see you soon.